There are 55 active cases of coronavirus in Victoria, including 8 new cases in this morning's numbers. 3 are in hotel quarantine. 2 were announced yesterday, being the 2 residents at Kings Park, Southbank. Of the 3 remaining locally acquired cases, 2 are household primary close contacts of a previously announced case in Kings Park. 1 is a vaccinated nurse, and Jerome will go to the details of these in a minute. We all know that since this pandemic started, distance has been one of the hardest things to live with. Distance from our neighbours, distance from our workplace, from places we love and from people that we love. We know that's been for a reason. By keeping our distance, we've kept ourselves and others safe. But we all know that Victoria is at its best when we are all together. And I know that we've all been waiting to see those people and those places that we love, which is why I'm very, very pleased to confirm that on the advice of the Chief Health Officer, the metropolitan border and the 25-kilometre limit will be removed, and the state will come back together from 11:59 p.m. tomorrow night. Thanks to the work of all Victorians, we're in a position to announce the following easing of restrictions. So for Melbourne, that will mean the 25-kilometre limit on the distance you can travel will be removed. Public gatherings will be allowed with up to 20 people, and gatherings in the home will be permitted with up to 2 visitors to a home per day, plus dependents. Additional businesses will be able to reopen, including gyms, indoor entertainment venues and electronic gaming. Venues will be able to access increased patron caps, including restaurants and cafes, religious settings and entertainment venues. Hospitality venues will be able to host up to 25 people before applying the density quotient, and that is great for our smaller venues. The rule that if you can work from home, you should work from home remains, but office workers will be able to return to up to 50% or up to 20 people, whichever is greater. Competition in community sport can return, and there is no limit on travel for sport between Melbourne and regional Victoria. So that's outdoor community competition for juniors and adults. Masks will no longer be required outdoors. However, they're still recommended where you cannot maintain at least 1.5 metre distance from others. Everyone must continue to wear them indoors, whether that's shopping or on a train or at your workplace. So now for regional Victoria, from 11:59 p.m. tomorrow night, changes include public gatherings will be increased to 50 people. Restaurants and cafes can now open to a maximum of 300 patrons per venue for seated service. Smaller venues will be able to host up to 25 people before any density quotient applies, or they can use a density quotient of 1 person per 2 square metres per venue, up to 150 patrons. Religious ceremonies will be capped at 300 for the venue. Funerals are limited to 100 people, weddings are limited to 50. Office caps are increased to 75% or 30 people, whichever is greater. Visitors to the home will be limited to 5 adults per day, plus dependents. We want to keep regional Victoria free of this virus. That's why the public health team have recommended slightly stronger settings for metropolitan Melbourne as extra protection as we run down these remaining cases. So, for example, that means for Melburnians travelling to the snow this season, that means a requirement for everyone to get a COVID test within 72 hours of departing for Victoria's alpine resorts and a negative result. It is a common sense setting, and the Chief Health Officer can speak to that later. Now, I also know that footy, of course, is something on a lot of people's minds, and while we can't have the crowds back in Melbourne just yet, we will be able to get some fans along to the game in Geelong on Friday. So we'll work with the AFL and the clubs to allow a crowd of up to 7,000 people from the region, so Colac, Otway, City of Greater Geelong, Queenscliff and the Surf Coast, to attend at Cardinia Park, provided they are members of the 2 clubs playing, so we can keep a very tight record of who attends. We'll continue to work with all of our sporting codes on future games and as we ease restrictions further. As we've done for the last number of weeks, these settings will be in place for the next 7 days, and as always, the public health team will review the data and our options on a daily basis. Subject to case numbers, subject to exposure sites, and always on the advice of public health, I expect that we'll be back here in another week to make some further announcements about easing of restrictions. We have to ease in a way that is safe, and we are making positive progress with the announcements that we're making, both for regional Victoria and metropolitan Melbourne. Finally, it's no exaggeration to say that the most important thing that people can do is to get tested as soon as you have even the mildest of symptoms. As we head deeper into winter, this becomes more and more important. Don't assume that a sore throat or a cough is just the symptoms of a cold. You've got to find out and make sure, and the only way to do that is to go and get tested. That might be the difference between finding and getting out on top of an outbreak or having it get out of control. So thank you to everyone for everything you've done so far to protect our state. I know this hasn't been easy, but we are getting there.